Hello and welcome back to Albion Online, and today I'm going to do a guide for completely new players to Albion Online because let's face it, Albion, it's a bit confusing, hence the name of my character, the confused one. It's a sandbox MMO, which is what makes it such a great game, but it's also what makes it very confusing for new players to the game. There's no hand holding, there's no quest line, there's no steering you at all. You, after the tutorial, you are just left to your own devices to do what you like, and I think people, they're left a little bit daunted at that point. Speaking of tutorials, okay, like as you can see on the screen, I have play tutorial ticked. You must do the tutorial, okay? Two reasons, really good reasons. One, it will give you the basics of the game. It explains all of the things that you're going to need to know just to get going. So don't skip it, because you'll be even more confused if you do. And two, when you do the tutorial, you will be given 3 days free premium. It's a really big deal, because in that 3 days, if you're someone who wants to play like this, you can grind and you can earn enough silver to pay for your premium for the next month in those 3 days. You will have to put a lot of hours in, but it can be done. So you must do the tutorial. Okay, right. The next thing for me that is probably most important in trying to learn the game is join a guild. Okay. They will always have people in them that are willing to help you, particularly if it's a guild that is geared towards new players, which I have a guild I run myself, and that's what we're trying to do. But the thing, and this is as important as joining the guild, okay, is a lot of people join the guild, the chat in Albion isn't particularly great, and people don't even notice that they are being spoken to. I frequently message people and they don't even realise. So the thing you need to do is join their Discord. Now, I'll go through. Look, Albion now has a guild finder, okay? So you just click on the shield, you go to guild finder, and you can just click join, or if they've got that open, which mine has. But join their Discord, okay? Because 90% of guilds, that's where all the communication takes place. And if you don't join the Discord, you might as well not be in the guild, because you won't get hardly any communication, you won't get any interaction, you won't get any help. So, two things: join a guild, and also join their Discord so you can get talking to people. You'll enjoy the game more, and you'll get all that help that you really need. Okay, so here we are mid-tutorial, and the game wants us to make our first tier 2 weapon. And what we need to decide is which one we want, okay? And what will happen is we'll make a sword. That will unlock, and then we kill mobs with that sword. That will unlock all of these weapons. So all of the warrior tree, which is sword, axes, maces, hammers, gloves, crossbows, and shields, okay? If we want anything from the hunter, then we will need to make a bow, and that will unlock bows, staves, daggers, nature staffs, spears, and torches. And if we want to unlock all of the mage tree, we make the fire staff, and that will unlock arcane, cursed, fire, frost, healing, and the spell book. Armor is handled in a very similar way to weapons, so to unlock one of either the helmet, the chest piece, or the boots, you will have to wear the tier 2 soldier armor, which is the plate. For leather, very similar. For the leather hood, chest piece, or boots, you will wear the leather chest piece, the mercenary jacket. And for cloth, for the scholar cowl, scholar robe, or boots, you will wear the scholar robe. Okay, also with armor, your chest piece. Okay, this is the most important piece of armor you'll be wearing, and the reason why is because of this. If you click on the chest piece, okay, so we'll click on here, the Journeyman Scholar Robe, and here are all the stats that we get from this, okay. And probably the most important is this. We get a 40% bonus to damage. That's with cloth, okay? If we go down and we look at the leather, we get a 20% bonus to damage. And if we go down to plate, it's 10. Now, when you're just doing PvE, killing mobs, etc., it is almost always best to wear cloth because you will kill the mobs a lot quicker. And unless they're very hard mobs, you really don't need to have armor that is going to keep you alive because they're normally reasonably easy to kill. So for a start, it's usually best to go cloth. However, sometimes people will go leather because it has far more sustain and you still get reasonable damage from it. So just bear that in mind, that the amount of times you see someone who's a brand new player, they will have a sword, a shield, and they'll be in plate armor. And you know when you see someone in that sort of gear that they're very probably new because they've played other MMOs and that just looks like a typical warrior. But you will kill the mobs really slow and that will hinder your progress. So that's definitely worth considering not wearing plate armor until you're at a point in the game where maybe you want to tank and you're in groups and stuff like that. Jumping back into the tutorial now, we've completed everything, but we haven't left. Okay, so don't go to the pier. You go back to where you crafted all your initial gear, and you can buy mules. Now you see here that they're only 3 silver. Okay, so if we look, I've bought 3. This puts me overloaded, which means I will be moving slowly. But current market value for 3 is 21,000, so that's 7,000 each. So we're going to get a good profit by selling them when we get out of the tutorial. Okay. Also, I made myself a bag, which, if we look, like if I take the bag out, I'm even more encumbered, which makes it even more slow. I think you can go with 4 mules if you want, but you're going to move so slow. Unless you're a masochist, you probably won't want to, because look, this is the speed we're moving at, which is not pleasant, but it's okay. We can get the tutorial done. We can start our Albion career, as it were, with 21,000-ish, just by taking a little bit of time and buying these mules. Now, you've completed the tutorial, and now it's time to leave the tutorial island and go into the main royal zones of Albion. And each one of the different biomes is represented here, and each has a primary resource associated with it. So Forest Cross will be lumber, trees. Highland Cross will be ore. Mountain will be stone. Steppe will be hides. And swamp will be fibre. So you can make a decision on which one you want to go to based on which resource you think you are going to be primarily trying to gather. But at this point, honestly, if you go to the wrong zone, it's not a big deal. You can easily just use the travel planner in the cities to move to a different city later on in the game, and it's not an issue at all. So, for instance, I know I've heard people say, "Oh no, I've gone to one place and my friend's in another, and we can't meet up." And you can literally just take all your gear off, sell it in the auction house, teleport over to the city they're in, rebuy your gear, and carry on. So it's not that big a deal. But obviously, if you know, it's worth bearing in mind that which biome has which resources as its primary, so that you can make a start on that. So yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to go to Swamp Cross because I think we're going to do fibre. So that's what we'll do. We click Swamp Cross by journey. Well, here we are in the main part of the game now. We're still in the noob area, but we are in the royal zones. Okay, if we look at the map, we can see we are linked up to everywhere. Okay, so this is the game proper now. Now, as you remember, we bought 3 mules. Now, it's a good opportunity now to explain how the marketplace works. So we have our mule. We now click on to sell. Okay, the mules, we've got 3 mules. We don't need them. Okay, we don't need 3 mules. So we can click sell here. Now what you've got is different options here. You can either sell it straight up like this, and you will get the price that someone else has put in as a bid. So as a buy order, someone else has put a buy order in to buy them at 4,000. This is a lot lower than what we thought we could get, okay, and that is usually the case with buy orders. The other option is we can define what price we want for them, and then we will go on to sell order. Okay, now this is usually better money, but 2 things: we will have to pay more fees. Okay, so you've got 10.5% fees here, and we also won't get any money until it actually sells. So as we can see here, like, most of them are selling lower than that. This is a history of the prices. Don't need to go into that in too much detail at this point, unless it's something that interests you, and you will discover that later. So because we want money now, we will probably go sell and sell all 3, and we will have 11,000 silver. Okay, because we're paying less tax because we're not using the sell order. Another option would be to take this all the way to the main city, which isn't that far, but we're moving slow, and I would guess the price there will probably be a lot higher, because people come to these zones knowing that the mules people are doing this, so they're coming here to take advantage of the fact that you want silver and they want the mules. So we're going to just click on sell, and we got 11,000 silver now, which means we don't even have to go out and gather to buy our gear if we don't want to. If you want to gather, go ahead and do it, but we don't need to. We can just, now we can buy gear. So look, armor, we go on to buy. We haven't unlocked tier 3 yet, but we can now, if we want to buy, because we said about cloth armor, didn't we, that it was the best, we can just buy it, 1,200. We can buy a full set of tier 3. I wouldn't buy tier 4, probably because the prices will be inflated in this zone. It's better to go to the main city. So at this point now, having sold those 3 mules, we can now start playing the game proper. The next thing we need is tier 2 gathering tools. So we can either get the resources for them and make them at the tool crafter, or we can, because we've got silver, we can just do this. Buy. We just go on tool, and then we can pick the ones we want. So we've done axe, so we then go pickaxe. They're a little bit overpriced, to be honest, but that is not to be surprising, to be honest, because people are wanting to make money out of new players. So that's what's going on there. But yeah, skinning knife. Damn, we're gonna not have much money left at the end of this. Stone hammer. So we've got all our tier 2 tools. We will basically we'll get rid of the tier 1s. They're worthless to us. So where's the other one? Hang on, we were missing one. So we didn't. Did we not buy a pickaxe? I thought I did. Oh, I did. Yes, I did. Pickaxes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 main ones, and you can buy a fishing rod if you want to do fishing as well, which is worthwhile. But for making stuff and that, you don't need it. Although it can be valuable because fish give you a nice source of food in the early game. So that's just a decision you'll want to make yourself. Well, we have an inventory full of gear we want to use but we can't use yet. So what we have to do, we have to kill mobs, okay? And every time we kill something while we're wearing this gear, we will get fame for it. And I'll show you what we get, okay? Now this mob here is a skinnable mob. So we kill that and skin it, we get hides. And this is one way of making money, okay? However, the fame, we got 54 fame from this mob. It's not very high because the resource mobs don't give you very good fame. what we really need to do is go and find humanoid mobs, which are in camps, they're in the open world, they sometimes in dungeons. Another option is to do a dungeon. You can get decent fame in them. And actually I can take the moment to just tell you what this means. See, these butterflies mean this dungeon has upgraded, which means it is now slightly tougher, but you get more silver, more loot, and more fame. So what we can do, we want to find some open world humanoid mobs to kill, because they are the ones that are going to give us better fame. So in the tier 3 zones there aren't that many humanoid mobs. There are some dungeons, but they're fairly scarce as well. So the best option, I believe, is to go into the main city, your nearest city, which is always only one zone away, so it's pretty close. And then press M to use the map, and you can see that you've got blue zones all around you. So we'll head out into the nearest blue zone, which will be a tier 4 zone. Now, these mobs will be a little bit of a struggle for us to kill, but the fame will be worth it. Now, you can see, right, the fame we got for killing these. Okay, we got 54 for that mob that we could skin. We got 300. And we also then got 160. So, we got quite a lot of fame for killing those. These are far better. The open world mobs are the best fame at this moment in time. Dungeons are still decent, but this is also where it's the best at this point. And interestingly, we just got this come up, Journeyman Reaver. Something very often people go, oh, I don't even know what that is. Well, because what happens in the game, you progress along this Reaver rank and you get a damage bonus to killing creatures of a certain tier depending on your Reaver rank. So we have now unlocked this, which means we get 15% damage and a better defense against tier 3, but we still haven't got that against tier 4, which is why the tier 4 mobs are a bit tougher for us at this point in time. So it's always worth considering that when you're going to the higher tiers, that your damage will be reduced. So that is what your Reaver rank is. So if anyone asks you that, you know where that is, and it's located along here. Okay, so if you go to the middle and you go across to where you started with all your combat fame, and you go across, that's where your Reaver rank is. So what we'll do now is we will just roam this zone and we will kill mobs until we unlock tier 3. Now, after completing the tutorial, you get 100 learning points. Now, interestingly, with weapons and most of the skills, when you get past this point here, you can then use learning points to buy it. So we're going to do that, okay? So we go learning point. We can now use the tier 3 leather armor. We can use the tier 3 in that now, and cloth. So, and also the weapon. So we have unlocked everything we want to. Why is that not unlocked? Oh, because I went battle axe. I made a big mistake. I changed my mind. I was going to go nature staff, and then I decided, you know what, axes are a good build. So, okay, so I made a small mistake there. I mistakenly went down the bow route when I actually wanted to be unlocking axes, which are on the sword route. So yeah, but I've rectified that. Easy mistake to make if you're stupid like me. So we now have everything unlocked at tier 3. We have now the opportunity to go towards tier 4 at all of these items. I'll just take a very quick opportunity now to describe a few things. You have passive skills, okay? These are the main skills that are doing damage, etc. But you also have passive skills on your weapons. So you can read the text and it describes what it does. So, for instance, because we're cloth, we want to do a lot more damage. We're going with that. We don't have any castables, so we don't go for that. Again, we're going for damage, but some builds will want attack speed. So these are things that you will learn over time that will suit your builds. So you just set them up as you want. I will possibly go over some builds at some point, but these things are constantly changing in Albion's. Weapons get nerfed, weapons get buffed, so things go out of date very quick. So looking up a guide on builds, you really need the newest and most up-to-date. Right, so next we want to unlock tier 4. So all we do is we just go around killing mobs until we get tier 4, which, well, especially as I speeded it up, it doesn't take very long at all. Because we've got some learning points, we're going to use them to unlock all of the tier 4 items that we're wearing. So as you can see, bang, we're already there. And we can now we can go back to town and buy our tier 4 set. So as you can see, the tier 4 stuff is a lot cheaper in the main city. I think that was more like 3,000–4,000 in the starter area. So don't buy your tier 4 stuff there. Just buy it in the main city, and you should have enough money. Let me have a look. What else were we using? We were using a leather helmet. Main reason I was using that though was because I wanted to unlock all the different types of armor, so I had one of each. And we had plate shoes, didn't we? Plate shoes. But we want to go for soldier boots. They're pretty good. So we've now got the armor set we want. All we need to do now is get the weapon. Tier 4. Good thing to do actually, which I didn't do just then, is always look at outstanding. It very often isn't much more. Okay. In fact, we could even go 0.1, but we were a bit low on money, so we're not going to. But always look at the quality as outstanding, because it's very often almost the same price, and you get a little bit more item power with it. So. Where's offhand? Torch. There we go. Everything done, and then we will sell all the other stuff. We'll have to repair it. You can't sell damaged equipment, so we actually good opportunity to show you how to do that. I don't normally live here, so I'm normally in Limhurst, but yeah, I remembered where it was. So we press. Oh, we haven't got the money. Okay. But this is where you would repair things. So if you repair all, it does it all in one thing. Or the other thing is we could just do this and repair things individually. So that's what we'll do, and then we'll sell all these items to the auction house and we'll have more money. Now we have our full T4 set, we are just going to go and just grind mobs in the open world. We would normally be doing this with faction flagged, but you need to have expert adventurer, which is not there. It's located over here. And as you go along that, you unlock mounts, capes, and other stuff. But factions you can't actually flag until you have got expert adventurer, so we need to get that, and then we will be flagging, but we will just be killing mobs and grinding them. And while we're doing this, we need to point a few things out which are useful. Okay, so when you're fighting, always stay in your mount's circle. Okay, this gets more important. This gets more important when you go into PvP zones, because if you watch, right, when I click on my mount, that's how quick I mount up. Really, really quickly. Okay, if I go out of my mount circle, do you see how long it takes? That's the difference between getting killed in a PvP zone and not. So when you're killing a mob, make sure you fight them within your mount circle. Another factor also is, luckily on the mule, your weight capacity that you are increased, that your mount gives you, is as a buff. So you don't lose it when you're outside of your mount circle. But if you use something like an ox, when you go outside of your mount circle and you are then therefore dismounted, you will lose the weight gain. And that means that you may well not even be able to move. So that's another thing to consider. You must stay inside this circle as much as you possibly can. Another thing, use right click to move. Try not to use left click, because if you left click, you can easily end up, for instance, attacking a player when you didn't mean to and putting yourself into combat, which will, you attack a player, you will automatically, your mount will disappear, and you could then have yourself in a lot of trouble. So right click to move. You can hold the mouse, not just click all the time. Has its advantages and disadvantages, because by holding it, it's just easier basically. But if you click, you will only move to the space where you clicked, whereas if I'm holding it, I keep going until, and then you might overshoot, and also lag can mean that you stop before you wanted to. So both have advantages. We also need to go over the map and mini-map. So for example, here we have got logs, hides and fibre. Also, it gives you a rough indicator of the safety of the zone. So blue zone, safe. No one can attack you here unless you are faction flagged. Even if they do, it is only a knockdown, it's not full loot. If we go to a yellow zone, okay, yellow, it's the same. You can only be knocked down, but you can be attacked by people who flag red as well. If you go to a red zone, you can be killed and looted fully by a red flagged player or an enemy faction player. So be careful when you're in a red zone. The benefit of red zones is not everyone can attack everyone. So if other players are blue, they can't attack you. And you also get a count of how many red players there are in the zone. And now on to black zones. Well, black zones are accessible by going through a portal from your main city. You go to the Conqueror's Hall. This has all recently changed. You used to go straight out into the black zones, but now you go to a portal city, which is basically, in terms of the auction house and your bank, is all linked, which is unusual for Albion. Everywhere else, everything is not linked together, but your bank slot will be the same as your slot in the main city. So what happens here is you've got access to all the black zones that surround where you are. So we'll reset the camera. And you can now just go into any of these black zones, and then furthermore into any one after that. Black zones, right? The rules here are full loot PvP. So anyone can attack anyone, and if you die, then you will be looted fully and lose everything you have. Again, on the minimap, it shows you the different resources available. And you might think, well, why would I go to black zones then if they're so brutal? Same with the red zones. And the main reason is, well, there's a few reasons. One, that it's the only place you can get higher tier stuff. So if you want tier 6, 7 and 8 resources, you have to go to black or red zones. You also get higher rank mobs, which are far more fame. You also get big fame bonuses from doing any of the activities in the black zones. So they are very worth doing. But you must be careful because there is a lot of ganking, a lot of gang squads, and you will get killed. So there's an unwritten rule in Albion: only ever go out in black zones and red zones in what gear you can afford to lose. So just always remember that. Don't go out if you in gear you can't afford to replace. The only other thing left to talk about, and I won't go over this in detail, is there's one more type of black zone, and that is the roads. And the roads of Avalon are random portals which will appear in any of the. You may have seen them as you're travelling around. There are random portals through every zone, and you can go into the roads of Avalon, which also change constantly. So every time you go into them, it's different locations. So they're really good fun. But again, you will lose all your gear if you die. It's really a video in itself if I was to talk about it, so we'll just leave that one there. Just, when you see these portals in the Royals and that, don't go in them unless you're ready to have a fight. So you might be asking yourself, well, if this is a guide for new players, why haven't you covered crafting? Why haven't you covered in any detail gathering? And the reason is I feel that they need to have a video all to themselves. They're quite in depth, particularly crafting and refining. And if you put them all together, I think that would be a reasonable length video all on its own. And if I included it here, I just think it would be a little bit too long, and maybe I'd have to rush it a little bit. So I'm not going to talk about that on this occasion. So I think that about wraps it up. But what I kind of want to do is I want this to be a work in progress so that I can add in a thing. So if you feel that there's something I left out, something that you couldn't figure out when you first started playing, or you are playing and you have a question, then just post it in the comments below. I'd really like to know so I can then add things in, make it more in depth. If there's any other things like that you feel I've got wrong, or some of the editing or anything like that, as long as it's constructive, just just post in the comments, and that'd be really good. So also, if you can subscribe, it really does help. Or put a like in if you did happen to like it. I'm sure there won't be many, but hopefully there'll be some. And that's about it. So hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.